Welcome back to GEARHAULICS, everybody. I'm your host, Fireball, and we're coming at you from three different time zones. Tonight, I'm joined by Calvin, aka Ghost Mule from Everyday Packbacker, and we've got Jared, aka Snackbox from Outside Comfort Zone. How we feeling tonight, fellas? How we doing?
Doing well, doing well. Did you mean to say packbacker?
Packpacker? I don't know. I've been slurring a lot of words lately and just not having that much sleep. Maybe. It's possible. It's very likely.
It could be. I wasn't sure if you were
It's
giving
probably not
Calvin
a good
grief or
idea
not.
that I shoot a couple more videos tonight, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Just power through. Why the
Hey,
hell
man.
not, right? All right. So tonight's big topic is going to be all about backpacking mods. So I think everybody does it from time to time. It's really about dialing in your gear and figuring out what works for you, what makes it more comfortable for you, and kind of personalizing it to what makes the best experience for you when you're out on trail or when you're at camp, right? So that's really the only bullet point and the only topic that I have for tonight is just straight up mods, the gear mods that we use. All right, so apologies for the slight interruption. Ghost Mule had his internet kind of crap a bit on him, but we're hopefully stable and back up now. So yeah, as I was saying, it's really just about we're going to be talking all about the things that make you more comfortable, and it doesn't necessarily have to be things that you ended up creating yourself. It could just be like pieces of gear that you kind of bought that didn't come stock or didn't come standard with your regular purchases. I think this term might be more suitable for like the car industry. I've heard it used a little bit more, but I'm kind of bringing it in here for backpacking. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to open up the round table and we'll just kind of like discuss some of the different pieces of backpacking mods that we have. I'm going to kick it over to Ghost Mule first because he has a good one. So what do you got there, Ghost Mule?
Well, so I've been pretty standard stock model guy for a long time. But do you want me to go over all of them or just some of them, or how do you? I'm not.
Let's
I might
do
have.
uh let's do like one at a time. We'll just kind of like table.
All right, cool. So the first mod I think that I started doing with my packs is something I've done for quite a few years. Is if you notice in my videos on my shoulder strap, I have a couple of items that are always kind of visible, and they are a thermometer with wind chill factor and a completely useless compass, just because that's the way it came. And then when I bought it, a Fox 40 whistle, and I think currently I also have a tick key on there, just because it's light and doesn't, take up much space. But those are things that I have kind of always kind of carried on there, again, because they're super lightweight. They don't really change much, and in a situation, maybe it's the former paramedic in me or not, but whistles are invaluable tools to be able to use in the backcountry if something were to come up and have an issue there. And then the thermometer, I started wearing that because of an incident where I got heat exhaustion in the Smoky Mountain National Park and had to be evacuated because I thought it was in the 80s and it turned out to be 98 degrees outside. So had I known that, I might have done things a little differently. So, like most things, a mod happens when there's usually a story behind it or a reason behind it. And I think those are the reasons why I carry those things. But yeah, they're always there, ready to go. Very rarely do I ever have to use them, but they are something I always keep on my gear.
Right on. Those are some solid options, definitely, and I think you're going to see a recurring theme here is that even though we're showing certain things, it might come standard on some packs, but not on others. So I'm going to bring up that when it gets around to me, but I'm going to kick it over to Jared next, and let's see what you got for your first mod.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is necessarily a mod, but I thought about it sort of like in a kind of a customization of sorts. I don't know, but I always, if I buy a freestanding tent, I always spend the extra money for the fitted footprint. Specifically, when I first started, I didn't think they were worth it. I thought, you can do Tyvek, you can get some of the Poly Pro, but then when I realized you can take that footprint and leave the tent body behind and instead do the fast pitch or fast fly setup where you leave the tent body behind, take the poles, rain fly, and footprint. you know, that's a really great way to take a nice tent and turn it into an ultralight tent, particularly if you're in an area where bugs aren't an issue. It's just absolutely incredible. It was also really helpful when I had when I had my dog Katie and we would go camping. We had that big Agnes copper spur, and it was really narrow. It was a really nice tent, but very narrow. And for two people or one person and a giant dog, it was really tough. But then I started fast pitching it, and it was huge. I mean, it really tripled the footprint or the floor space there for us. So it was really a great way to go. So I definitely would encourage that. And then I think a lot of the stuff kind of in terms of the tent is just getting rid of unnecessary things. So getting rid of ditty bags that you might not need or cutting off tags, that kind of thing. They may not even be a weight issue. It's just making sure that you pared down everything to be as streamlined as possible is always really helpful. Just word of caution, those. I don't think you should trim down your maps. I've seen that actually in one of the best early YouTube PCT documentaries. Some guys cut off the edges of their maps to save weight and ended up cutting off they cut off the scale, so they weren't sure how many miles they were hiking. They could see where they were hiking, but not how far it was. It was really hilarious kind of disaster. But just mindfully paring down and getting rid of stuff that sometimes you'll buy a tent and they'll give you accessories, or you'll buy a backpack and they'll give you little bonus things. And, you know, when you really think about what you need, getting rid of them makes a lot more sense than keeping them.
Okay. This is kind of full circle too, because I think it was the other show that we did where it was about the planning tools, right? And we were talking about like the old school methods and using the maps and stuff. So yeah, don't cut down your maps. I thought you said mat at first, like your sleeping mat, but yeah, mat, either one really is probably not a good idea.
I cut my sleep down so that only my ass and shoulder blades are covered.
The most important pieces, right?
The most
Calvin just takes two pillows and puts one under his shoulders, one under his butt, and he's good to go.
That's true. A little airflow underneath.
Right.
Put some boulders together, put some rocks together, and he's good to go. All right. I'm going to jump in here for my first one. Actually, I'm going to cover one real quick because I don't necessarily consider it as much of a mod, but again, kind of coming back to my earlier point, which is about, the fact that some things come stock and some don't. So if you're talking about like Osprey packs or Gregory packs, there might be some people, especially if you're new to backpacking and you're watching this episode, where you might think, well, it always comes standard that it has a bunch of different pockets and things like that. It's not necessarily true, especially if you're going more UL, you're trying to support more of the cottage vendors. Actually, a lot of times, if you're going more cottage made, they don't actually include that stuff as part of the build. It's kind of all custom. So you have to think about adding the hip belt pockets and the shoulder pockets a little bit later. So I always do that on my packs anyway. So I'm going to bring this up multiple times throughout the episode. So I got the water bottle pockets here. We got the hip belt pockets, but these are not custom. Like you have to add those. So you have to buy those separately. It's something to keep in mind. Just if you're trying to, go more of the custom backpack route. But I just wanted to get that one out of the way real quick so that I can get to my first official mod, and it's this one right here. You guys know what this is? You seen this before? It's not a cat.
Well, that's the thing where you recycle your pee, right?
Of course, he jumps right to that. No, this is a straw, and this is actually a mod of a mod, I guess you can kind of consider it. So, and I know Ghost Mule has a video on this as well. It's very similar to a lot of the systems that are out there. They have these longer tubes now where if you want to keep your water bottle in the back, you can run a thicker hose and just have your own bite valve to kind of replace the old, what do you call it? The big pouches. What was it? That they used to use the bladders, yeah, right. So you can buy these big straws now, but I ended up buying that system and then just kind of cutting it down. So you have a thinner straw right here that goes into your bottle. Then you had the thicker straw, but I like to carry my smaller bottle just up front here in my shoulder pocket over here. So this will go into my water bottle right on my shoulder, and all I have to do is like tilt my head over to get a drink. And it had a thicker piece. I don't know if you can really see it on camera there, but this is where the thicker piece is, and I just cut it way down. And this is actually a hat tip or a hat trick or whatever you want to call it to another YouTuber by the name of Jason. I think it's Jason Outdoors. He kind of goes out with the Southern boys over in like Alabama and Kentucky, and I literally just kind of like saw it on his Instagram, and I was like, I think I could do the same thing. So I basically did the same thing. But originally, I had it where it was just this one piece right here, and due to physics that I don't understand, it kept shooting out of the straw. But you have to have the bite valve on it. So I figured out that you just have to have that thicker piece on it, and it doesn't come out. So that's my first one right there. It's a straw. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, one of the things you were talking about those extra pockets, and it's worth knowing that even if your pack comes with pockets and such, you can always add different pockets to it or swap them out, and that's always a really nice thing to know. Even if you're not buying, say you get an Osprey pack and it has some different pockets on it, you can buy say 6 Moon pockets and add them to it, or the umbrella attachment. I hope I'm not stealing anybody's thunder, but that's a really common one for people to put where you attach your umbrella to it.
Go over.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you too well here, apparently. But there are a lot of ways. I mean, it's the nice thing. It's kind of takes you back to when you were 10 and we're really into Ninja Turtles and Batman. It's the utility belt for grown-ups, right?
Man. Yeah, I mean, the other like thing that I would throw right at the end here before we do another there are some pockets that are universal. There's a bunch of different options you can find on Amazon and whatnot. But I've tried that, even like the stuff from Hilltop Packs, not to knock them. But I do find that if you're going to buy the pockets, that it just seems like they are specifically made usually for the packs when they sell them, or the manufacturers who make the packs. It just kind of like fits their packs a lot better. So I have like the Z packs here. I've gotten some Gossamer Gear stuff, and it just works with their stuff a lot better. It kind of fits it more like a glove. But let's get into the second round, and let's kick it off again with Ghost Mule. What do you got for your number 2 mod?
So my other mod has to do again with my pack, and more so for the pack that I had before this one, which was my Osprey Exos. And my Exos was during the era where they removed the hip pockets, and I really liked hip pockets. I really liked them for the storage and for the quick access. And so I decided to completely embrace my 90s dork status and went with a Hilltop Packs fanny pack, roll top. And I found that I actually ended up liking this more than the hip pockets because everything is kind of right there. It holds more. For me, I can quickly access my sunglasses or my regular glasses when I don't leave them in the truck like I did on the last trip. And for me also with the camera and everything. So all that stuff just kind of lives in here. And I like this one because the added advantage of the roll top is I don't have to close it when I'm hiking. So the stuff stays in there pretty well. I also just found that after using this and how convenient it is, and then fighting with hip pocket zippers, I realized just how much I hated fighting zippers. And I think the convenience of having the pocket there kind of made me ignore that before. And so even though I have a added hip pocket on my current pack from Waymark because Devin threw one in because he's awesome, I still tend to use this one even more than that. That said, that one still has the secret snack stash in it. So.
That's cool. Yeah, and that to me kind of like contradicts my previous statement where a piece like that isn't really integrated is kind of a lot more universal, and you can kind of use it with a lot of different styles of packs. But I wanted to ask you real quick, like because I never used one, I'm not part of the fanny pack gang, but does it conflict at all with like, do you wear a normal belt plus the hip belt of the backpack, and then does the fanny belt also kind of ride into that, or does Hilltop Packs kind of integrate it with the hip belt in your backpack?
So this is a good question, and it's a complex one, and there is a whole lot going on in my hip regions when I am out backpacking. So I do have to wear a regular belt, and the reason why I do wear a regular belt isn't because my pants will stay up, but because I have to have something to put my bear spray on. So that's already there, and usually somewhat interfering. As far as this particular hip belt, I do use the full strap, and I do not have any issues with it fitting underneath the packs that I've had. It's pretty low profile. That said, you can, it does come with hardware where you can set it up to, I know it'll work with their packs. I don't know if it'll work with other packs per se, but they do have a way to make it so that it actually clips into your hip belt and integrates that way. But for me, it's just not been an issue, so I haven't switched it out. But yes, you can actually completely remove the hip belt in the back. It has 2 buckles, one on each side. So you can completely remove the hip belt. And then it comes with 2 clips that attach that have the Z clip that you can hook into another existing strap. So you could basically add it to your current hip belt. So I have to hand it to, Ben and those guys over there. They definitely, really thought that out pretty well. But again, it's just a flat 1-inch webbing. And it's just so easy just to, leave it on. And I prefer that way because I'm not always the most graceful person in the world. And so when I take my pack off and I have my expensive camera in the front, I'm not launching it down on the rocks with the pack. But yeah, it doesn't interfere, but that bear spray can be a pain in the butt.
The added bonus too with a fanny pack is that you can really improve your focus because you don't have to worry about women at all when you've got one on. So it's just a nice addition to the sort of mental game there.
I don't worry too much about that anyways.
Built for the trail, everybody. All right. Snackbox, you're up next.
All right, so I do have stuff for it, and then in true Snackbox fashion, on a number of levels, I have props, but I realize that they have a lot of green in them, so you're gonna barely see what I've got to show you.
Hold it up against your blue sweatshirt.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. It's gonna show right through. So look here, we got the. All right, so everybody knows that like the Knorr sides, right? Like you get these, or you get sort of mashed potatoes, and this is sort of dinner for a lot of folks when they're out on the trail, which is great, right? Especially at the cost that they exist at. But I like to doctor these up, and there's one brand particularly, and Patty showed me these, and I've been hooked ever since. Fresh Gourmet makes these like crispy garlic, crispy red peppers, crispy onions. All right, so now that I have internet service again, sorry everybody. Here you've got your Knorr sides, you've got your mashed potatoes. You could do the stovetop stuffing, all those different things you can take out into the woods, and they're much less expensive and arguably a lot more tasty than, say, a Mountain House meal, those kind of like the really expensive ones. The problem is they're all kind of plain. So what I like to do is get some, there are a number of different things you can add to them. One of my favorite brands, though, is this guy here. It's Fresh Gourmet. They make these crispy, like garlic, crispy onion strings, red peppers, you name it. They've got a ton of different things you can put on it, or you can go to the salad aisle and get real bacon bits and put it on just about anything. Or if you go, I think it's Panera and maybe a number of other places, but you go to a lot of these sort of Chipotle style places and get the pouches of Tapatio, Cholula, put that in, and you can basically add and doctor up and modify your dishes that way. It's a really good way to go. And it still is way less expensive than Mountain House. And I mean, honestly, once you start figuring that out, you're never going to buy Mountain House again. You might pick it up out of a hiker box and eat it, but there's not much reason to go and spend $12, $14 at this point for some of those, when you can do these for $1, $1.50,
Yeah, that's amazing. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm speaking for other people here, but I would love to see you do like a whole series on that. I know you've done a couple of videos, sort of in that vein before, but I know I would love to see the different concoctions that Snackbox comes up with outside of his world famous gorp.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and check out my very first video ever was the tuna noodle casserole video, and it's what I thought my channel would be. It's got so much good stuff going on in it, but it's so poorly produced. But the ideas are there. Well worth a watch, though. I think you'd enjoy it.
It is hysterical. Bumblebee
Agreed.
tuna. Bumblebee tuna.
Yeah, I was real excited. I thought I was going to be famous. I thought for sure it was going to go viral, and then I think it's been 2.5 years, and I think it's barely at 150 views.
I'm like one.
Got to get that one to the top. Everybody
Yeah,
race over and look at that one.
I guess I'm gonna have to. I'm just gonna have to keep relying on my good looks to get me through life.
It's worked so far.
That's true. Gotten you far so far. All right. I'm trying to think of like what my next one should be. I think we'll probably do like at least one more round here. And I'm trying to think of what I should do. Maybe a couple of like smaller ones next here. All right. So first one that I have is actually a video that I dropped today, but this episode is probably going to be premiering like weeks down the road. But and it's kind of it's a fairly new one. I'm not sure if you guys heard of this one or not yet. But have you heard of this one? This is the Stick Stashers by Spud's Adventure Gear. What it is it's just a high-powered magnet. I might end up just like tossing everything here, but let me try to bring it back up. And what you do is you just attach one end to your trekking pole and then the other end to a strap. I got one here. Can you see it? There it is.
Yep.
All right. It's a little bit of a smaller magnet, but it's a high-powered magnet. And it's really geared more so for the photographers out there, I guess us, you too, anybody who likes filming or photography, where you're going along, especially if you're using trekking poles, and then you want to switch over and get a shot real quick, or get some video. It's a quick and easy way for you to just kind of like throw your poles in the back without using the old one. I think the old one before this was the stow and go, where you kind of had like a couple of bungee cords and you snake it through there. This is actually even faster than that, if you can believe it. Once you kind of get it dialed in, you get used to it. You literally just snaps on. It's all magnetized. You let it go, and then your poles are just kind of like hanging off to the side. So that's one of the smaller ones that I'm kind of excited to try out, just so that the poles aren't really in the way. And then here's another one that I've kind of been toying around with for a little bit, but I haven't gotten a chance to test it out yet, but I do want to test it out. And what this is here, can you guys guess what this is? Do you have any guesses as to what exactly this looks like?
No, what is that?
Nothing? I stumped him. I stumped my co-host. How about this? I put both of these together.
I said, was that
like that?
Not hear me?
Oh, you did? Oh, you said InReach? All right. Well, you got it. Yeah. There's actually a lot of different models for this. I think the most popular one is by a company called Oziak. They do more of like hunting and like sort of like outdoor gear type stuff. Theirs is kind of specific to a certain kind of daisy chain on your shoulder strap. But yeah, it's basically getting rid of this kind of like dangly carabiner, where it just kind of flips all around when you're bobbing up and down the trail, and it replaces it with this Velcro strap, so you can ratchet it a lot tighter to your body here, just so that your Garmin or any other satellite device isn't bobbing all around when you're on the trail. So a couple of small ones there. Let's kick it back around unless we have any other discussion points, and Snackbox wants to make fun of me a little bit more on that one. Go ahead. But we can go back over to Ghostman.
I think that one's actually brilliant, because I had a Zoleo on the trail last year, and if it wasn't secured, and it's just kind of, it's especially when you get hangry, that sort of tap and the sort of swinging of it, it's such a little thing, but it's like a mosquito in your tent, right? Like, it's not a big deal generally, but it's enough to make you pretty crazy.
I'm already there.
Yeah. Same thing with like my straw. I mean, I was, I don't know if I'm just lazy or what, if it's first world problems, but like, I got tired of like taking my water bottle out and constantly sipping from my water, unscrewing it, or even with the sport cap. I'm like, I guess I'm too lazy to do that now.
I can't let that one go. I got really tired of drinking all this fresh mountain water. Oh man, it was a real hassle. What a drag.
Hey, we can't all dunk our heads under the water and frolic with the bears during salmon season there, Snackbox.
That's true. I don't know that I've ever done that, though. No, I would.
You didn't do that in Colorado? I thought I saw some pictures. I don't know. That might be a Nat Geo thing where they take pictures of the bears during the.
You're probably thinking about throwing me into a river of bears, I think is what that was.
No way. When are you coming out here next? No, I'm just kidding. Ghost Mule, you're up next.
So rather entertainingly, the two that I grabbed, one of them I grabbed as a joke because you called it out earlier, but another one, the next one I was going to be serious about, was sports cap for the water bottles. But I do use the fourth cap, and I guess I haven't achieved that level of lazy quite yet to not like it. But for me, it's definitely nice to be able to just clip that sucker open and be able to drink easily. Keeps the cap clean. And also for me, most importantly, is I don't drop the cap or lose the cap in the process. So it just kind of stays on there, and I don't have to worry about that. I got really used to having the little toggle because I spent most of my backpacking career using a Nalgene bottle. So that one is definitely one that I recently have started using. And the next modification, this is a game changer because, if you are cool enough to wear a pair of Crocs, you know that you have your camp shoe up here, but when you got to do that water crossing, or even if your ex or your crush is saying she likes athletic types, then you can just switch this bad mamma jamma over here into sports mode and modify it with that little heel strap there, and these suckers will get you across the river every time.
All right, go Snackbox, go.
Call me out on Crocs, will ya?
Get them, get them.
What are those things they call them? They're the there's a name for them. They're Croc ornaments. They're for shoes. They're called gibbets. So you can actually get these. They're basically little ornaments you put into the holes of your Crocs, and so I think you need to get some of those gibbets going on there.
You get me a gibbet, I will wear it proudly.
You say that now, and then I will find. I'm gonna find I'm about to have penis gibbets in my search history.
I did see where somebody had come out with a gibbet that it was actually a flashlight, so like headlights for your Crocs. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but I was like, that's actually pretty cool.
We can get you headlights for them, but I definitely just found hundreds of different. So you need to let me know if you prefer a clear penis gibbet or.
I like to be surprised. I like to live life on the edge.
This looks like a safety hazard.
Ghost Mule has a new obsession here. It's gone from stickers to gibbets.
Right.
I'm not looking at penis gibbets on my computer.
All right. I think Snackbox is up next.
Well, you actually you kind of just nabbed it from me, and it's the one of the classic modifications for any backpacker are the your stickers, right? So hitting up your water bottle. But the reason I wanted to talk about this one specifically, and here you go, by the way, I want you to know that I got my off-grid sticker, and it's piled onto another one because I put a sticker halfway over it. And Dave sent me a message and was like, "What gives, man?" And so I took another one and put it over it. So I have two stacked on top of it. So Dave can get top billing quite literally. But the reason I do go ahead.
I was going to say it was my first ever sticker, and it's like 1.25 inches wide or something. And I'm like, why is he covering it up already?
What did I do? Is he like anymore?
Yeah, and then I made it right is what I did. But basically the idea here is it's classic because it can remind you either of trips you've taken or friends you've made along the way. But it's also these Nalgene bottles, they get a lot of grief now. People talk about how they're so heavy. They're 4 ounces, but they have so much other use and utility. So you can, on a colder day, you can boil water and put it in it and put it in your sleeping bag so that you have this sort of water heater going on. It's one of my favorite tricks. Be careful with it, of course, if you're going to try that. But you can also take your headlamp and wrap it around the bottle and face it. Basically, if you put your headlamp against the bottle, it turns into this like awesome glowing lamp, and it lights up this really gentle light in your tent. So you don't have that sort of light glaring in your face while you're trying to get dressed early in the morning or get into your pajamas late at night. So I mean, I think that, just a Nalgene bottle in general, you have to do the classic sort of sticker thing. And if you get thirsty with it, you use the Luxada straw, and that's the way you go with it.
So I have a question. With all those stickers on there, if you do the lamp thing, does that make it like multicolored for like a disco effect?
It can. Yeah, it can. Or it has like the little strobe light beams out of the side of it. Yeah, man.
Dance party.
Party don't stop with Snackbox out on trail.
Well, I do have a an actual disco ball that's about the size of a golf ball, and it's specifically for backpacking. So they exist.
I am not in the least bit surprised. Not
Yep.
even one bit.
You hook it up in the top of your tent, hit it with a flashlight, glow sticks.
I'm impressed, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. A golf clap.
It wasn't even mine. It was something Patty gave me when we first met.
It's even better. The story just keeps getting better.
Yep.
I know. It's like, I got to know more. Yep. All right. I'm going to jump in with my third here. And then if anybody else has another one, I could throw another one on top of that. But I'm gonna get into my most favorite mod right now of all time. These guys already saw it because I sent them a really nerdy pic of me just setting it up like in my apartment one day. Can't wait to try it out on trail. But basically, let me bring this up because I noticed that I was bringing up all the cards for you guys, but I wasn't bringing it up for me. And I'm going to talk real quick about different straps and bungees. So I just talked about like the stow and go for the trekking poles and things like that. So similar concept here. Got a little toggle, got some bungee. You can do a lot with these things, really. First and foremost, and what Snackbox already alluded to, right? It's becoming more popular to kind of carry an umbrella, especially if you're in more high sun exposure areas or you don't have a lot of trees around, but you don't want to sit there and hold the thing the entire time, right? So lazy man, you basically just want to put it on your shoulder strap and then just not have to hold it the entire time. So the bungees work great for that. However, I figured out another use that you can use for those bungees, and let me see if I can go into presenter mode right now and show you what I'm talking about here. Let's see if this doesn't look too weird. Can you guys see that? There you go. This is an actual picture of what I did to my REI FlexLight air chair. I jerry-rigged my trekking pole to my Gossamer Gear umbrella, and this is basically what I call sort of like your beach mode, right? You're at camp, especially it works great in a little bit softer ground, but it can probably work well in either of your or any kind of terrain, really. And basically, all you do is you strap your umbrella to your trekking pole with these bungee cords. And I also recommend putting a third one down by that base where the chair is, so that you can kind of anchor it to your chair a little bit more and it doesn't flop over. Let me see if let me stop that one. I want to see. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolute redneck genius.
You need to hook up a Camelback with a beer thing so it like drips like hamster style from there.
The only thing you're missing is the hat with the 2 PBRs in it with the straws, man. Like
look
at that. It looks secure though. Holy mess.
It actually is not that bad. So these are bungee, a little bit easier to use, but yeah, if you ratchet that down, it works really well because you can see with the second picture here, you've got the handle, you got the foam handle of the umbrella at the bottom there on the left, and then on the upper right, we've got the foam handle of your trekking pole, and it kind of cancels each other out. So it's not like it's too bulky or leaning on one side or the other, and you can't really tell at the bottom there, but I have a third one that's attached to the post of my chair. And you know, awesome. the trekking pole to drive it into the ground as long as it's not too windy where you're camped. You got some shade. So there you go.
I do love the idea that a wind gust would like tip you over at some point. Like, I'd love to see that video where you get Mary Poppins into the ocean.
Yeah, I think you were the one who was joking about like me inventing like a helicopter chair or something with it.
Oh man, I do love this, and I like genuinely think it's really cool. But I would also pay cash money to see Steph's face when she walks through the living room as you are swearing at this, trying to get it to set up and stay put. I just want to see her. I don't even need a video of you setting it up. Just her face like, I'm about to marry this guy the rest of my life. This is...
Yep. Yeah, luckily I did that when she wasn't around. Otherwise, yeah, I would just get nothing but just like a head shake and just walking out of the room.
The report where they're like, "Hey, where's Dave? Oh, he flew off the mountain. You mean fell? No, he flew. Wind caught and went right up in the air."
You are a little bit more dedicated. Once you get all strapped in there, you don't have too many outs there. So
Is there
all in.
This?
What's that?
Is there an ejection seat in it?
Yeah, the ejection is to just rip the fabric on the backing of the chair, and you're out like $100 now. That's the
No,
only
it
option.
would. You know, the other, I mean, in all seriousness, that would actually work really well for a buggy campsite because it would drape your bug net over you really nicely. I mean, you wouldn't want to get too
Nice.
close to a fire with it, but that would work really well. It's similar to the fanny pack. You don't need to worry about women once you're sitting in one of those, so it takes your mind off of at least one extra worry or concern.
Oh man,
but that is
I'm gonna
genuinely
rock the
really
crap
cool.
out of this.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
TCT Redemption this year, it's coming. We got some beach time. I'm gonna be rocking this like crazy. I don't care.
Hey Dave, did you finish this year? Nah, man, I got stuck at campsite 2. I was trying to get my umbrella set up and it just was not happening. Took 3 days. 3 days.
3 days.
I just come back and I'm like beet red, just completely sunburned because
And
that was the only
frustrated.
sun protection I took.
You keep it. You're sitting on the ferry back, just swearing about Gossamer Gear umbrellas. Nobody knows what you're talking about. You just look like a maniac.
That'd be hilarious. All right,
That is really
I'm
cool,
gonna
though. In all
open the
seriousness,
floor one more time. If you guys have anything else that you want to sneak in here, now's your chance. Sort of like a last roundup. If not, we can close it out. So, anything else that you guys got going on?
I was struggling to get the 3, so.
no. I think the only others would be like attaching the, you know, the an old gift card to your bear canister using Velcro so that you can use it to help open it up. But that's not really. I mean, that's a small one, but it is a really good tip. I learned that from Patty. But it is a good one. If you have the Garcia, you do the same thing, but use a quarter instead. That's a really nice one.
As I said, I have a similar hack with the Bear Vault. I don't use the card method, but I have one of those long handled spoons, and I can use that pretty easily to push it in the morning.
Yeah.
My hand cold.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yep. Those are great. I'm going to throw in a couple last quickies here. I don't know if this is technically considered a mod or not, but I bring a lot of powders and different things for like drink mixes when I'm out on trail too. I like to be a little bit more of like a hobo barista, even though I don't drink, but I have my own powders and stuff like that. This thing right here, this is like a little gym powder scooper, like a protein scooper. Yeah, no, it's not a pipe, not a crack pipe. Are we like demonetized for that now too? Like, I have to take that one out. Ruining every episode. Jared, come on.
Listen, I'm not the one bringing that paraphernalia here.
Okay, but it really does help. If you have different powders and you're trying to get it into your little water bottle, that definitely helps. Way to kill that one for me, bud. Thanks.
I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to derail it, but I do think that it'd be easier just to snort it.
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, I don't even know. Like in our trip in the Smokies, did you see me trying to put my powder in my water bottle one day? It was like ridiculous.
He's gonna be sitting in that chair under an umbrella with electrolyte powder all around his nose, just like, guys, I got another idea. I could turn this into a submarine. It just takes a minute.
Oh my God. Terrible. All right. I'm still going to jump in on one last one here. I've just been roasted, but I know I'm just going to keep pushing forward. I'm just going to do it. This one's a little bit more tame, but we'll see what Jared comes up with on this. Let me share my screen again here.
It's a handsaw for removing my leg.
This is the top shelf from Gossamer Gear here. And what it is you got to think of sort of like your ridgeline organizer for your hammock, but this is for tent campers. So instead of it going like from front to back or from head to foot, it just goes across when you're in your tent. So giving you a little bit more storage and extra options. I actually plan on using it a different way, but I'm not going to say because Jared's going to jump all over me again for that. But I'll just leave it at that. It's called the Top Shelf. It's really cheap. Super light too. I think it's only like a couple ounces or whatever. I got this on sale during like Memorial Day too. So it just gives you a little bit more organization when you're in your tent.
I feel like you could modify that into like a belt and just go full on utility belt with that bad boy.
The price on it is killer though. I mean, $10 for an accessory like that is genuinely, that's a great one. I do like that Gossamer Gear got kind of sneaky and they're like, here, if you have the shelf, you could add the tent. And it's like, I like that the tent is the add-on. That's a marketer, like,
add the two, add the one.
Yes, shoot your shot, you know.
Why not?
If you're interested in this $10 accessory, maybe you'll like our $300 tent with it, which is a great tent in all seriousness. And I mean, I know I'm making a lot of jokes, but that's a great accessory specifically because it's so small, inexpensive, a lot of value added. And that tent itself it's got a lot of room, both the one and the two, but it's long. So a lot of the room is like at your feet. So if you want to store stuff like your headlamp, your like your wallet or your phone, your battery chargers, without having to dig through a pile at your feet, that is genuinely a really cool accessory as well. And kind of to Ghost Meal's point, you know, you could modify it some and change it. You could probably find some other use for it in your backpack, but I would also think adding like an LED strip or the little tab LED lights, you can kind of thread in and out of that, would make it a really cool light holder as well.
I think what looks cool to me is you could put your stuff in there in the morning and just unclip it from the tent, fold that up and slide it into like a ditty bag or a Ziploc baggie or something, and all that stuff is like automatically, you know, packed up, and you're not going around the entire tent going, where the hell is that? Yeah. So I think that would be a really cool way. I don't know if I'd have to have it in hand to see if it would work that way, but the first thing I thought is like, dude, you fold that sucker accordion style and stick it into a bag, you're good to go.
And Dave's got those Ziploc bags everywhere.
That I do. Yeah, that was the first thing that I kind of jumped to with it, was just, and I agree with Snackbox here. So I got the one too. I kind of piggybacked off and he showcased it in the Smokies, and I was like, I got to get that thing because it is 2 poles, but it's so spacious inside. The only, you know, one of the downsides to it is that it has a tapered floor. So like you mentioned there, it's really kind of tight on the sides, and they only have like one pocket in there in the one anyway. So to be able to expand that and just kind of have it up reach, you know, where you need it, is pretty cool. But again, yeah, I plan on using it another way, but I'm not gonna say, because I know Jared's gonna jump on me for that too. But I'm gonna let him know later down the line if it does work, because I like to cook up different things. I like to be a mad genius.
Yeah, cook it up, Breaking Bad style.
All right, guys. I think that was a good roundup here. Let me get into the closing arguments here, and we'll get you on your way. For Ghost Mule here, check him out. Calvin, his channel on YouTube is Everyday Backpacker, and on Instagram he's Everyday_Backpacker. Huge congrats again. I know this is going to be coming out a little bit later, but he just passed the 1,000 subscriber mark. That is a huge feat. So congratulations, bud. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yes, golf claps all around. And let's check out Jared here. Actually, no, we don't have to check him out because you know, he's been riding me a little bit too. No, I'm just kidding. He's on YouTube over here at Outside Comfort Zone, and on Instagram and the TikToks at Backcountry Champion, because he likes to mix things up and keep you guessing. But yeah, and I'm here. I mean, where you're probably watching this. I mean, we're also a podcast now too. That's another thing too that I mentioned to these guys. YouTube's doing a podcast now, so you can find this over on YouTube's podcast area. So they have a new podcast area where you can listen to us if you don't want to see our pretty faces. So we have that as an option as well. If you, and I'm over here over at Instagram on Dave_off_grid. If you hit up the chat for this premiere, thank you very much for getting the discussion going. If you're catching this later, hit us up in the comments down below. Once again, thank you very much, guys, for joining tonight. Had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Fireball.